Now, League One's Easter weekend was a bit of a thinker, I think it's fair to say, because in terms of changing places in the league table, the most significant was Leyton Orient moving up one into sixth, replacing Reading, who they are now above on goal difference. Only one team out of 24 moved more than one place, and that was Wigan, with their back-to-back wins, moving up 2 spots into 15th. The bottom 5 is all the same. The top 5 is all the same. And mid-table is generally all the same. But that's not to say that there wasn't plenty of eventful incident. Birmingham are on 99 points with 4 games still to play. They drew with Crawley and then they beat Burton away on Easter Monday. Sampstead with his first goal, popular goal scorer by the looks of things, mobbed by his teammates, adored by the fans. It's not been an easy first season for him in English football, but he's someone that I wouldn't be hugely surprised if he does stick it around at Birmingham next season and get some game time. Might be good for a season of adaptation. Jay Stansfield scoring a goal from open play as well to put Blues 2 up before a consolation from Burton in injury time. But let's look at that automatic promotion race, George, where the points return over Easter weekend was Wrexham, 4 points. They drew at home with Bristol Rovers, followed it up with a big win at Blackpool. Wycombe won at Bolton by 2-0, only to lose 4-0 at home to Charlton. Charlton picked up maximum points. They beat Northampton Town in what was quite a close encounter at the Valley and then thrashed Wycombe at Adams Park. And Stockport, they drew at Peterborough and won against Huddersfield. Talk me through the situation with this automatic promotion spot that's still very much up for grabs.
I mean, it's all just incredibly well set. Charlton's trip to Wrexham coming up on Saturday. A massive game where Charlton will feel, having gone to Wycombe and beaten them 4-0, the team currently in second, they'll be thinking, why can't we go to the team currently in second and thrash them again? And I think there's also I think Charlton are basically a nightmare opposition for Wrexham, where they just give so little away. And Wrexham, for all of their very solid defensive shape and their ability to get over the line, and they don't give much away, they don't create too much either. And I'd be amazed if they're able to consistently break down this Charlton side, who are as dogged as Wrexham, but in my mind offer way more going forward. They're impressive away at Wycombe. The best goal coming from a brilliant strike from Luke Berry, but throughout the game they were the better side and they were deserving of their 4-0 win. Really fear now for Wycombe. It's going to be a hell of a job for Mike Dodds to pick them back up to try and go again. And they themselves have to hope that Charlton do go to Wrexham and beat them, and that they can capitalise on that by winning their last 2 games. But yeah, it's the significance of Wrexham's win away at Blackpool is massive, especially because that game was 0-0 relatively late into it. Had they not got over the line there, it would have been more open. But I still think this Wrexham side they're not playing that well in my mind. I have to give them massive credit for beating Blackpool away. Blackpool are an informed side, but I think there could be a few more twists and turns, and it might go down to the wire here. I'd be surprised if Wrexham are able to beat Charlton on Saturday, and if they do that, then you think they're probably pretty much home and hosed.
Yeah, they were good at Blackpool. I was, like you, I have been asking the question, are Wrexham playing well enough to get this done? And after Good Friday, a home draw against Bristol Rovers, who've been one of the worst teams in the league all season, but in particular in the last couple of months, I had no reason to doubt that. And on Bank Holiday Monday, I started off watching Charlton Wycombe on Sky Sports Plus. I saw an unbelievably ugly start to that game where Wycombe, and I think Mike Dodds had, well, it's easy to say with hindsight, his team selection and the way that Wycombe started that game was reactive. They were the home team against Charlton, but the game was played entirely in the manner that Charlton wanted it to be played, and that was reflected in the goals that were scored. Wycombe didn't look anything like they have done recently, and that was really, really disappointing. And Charlton just completely Charltoned them. Lloyd Jones putting them ahead, and then Luke Berry scoring an unbelievable half volley into the top corner from 20-25 yards, which I felt should have been disallowed because I thought there was a foul in the build-up, not given. The fact that the second half, rather than Wycombe coming on strong and asking questions of Charlton as they defended a 2-goal lead, the fact that didn't happen and Charlton went and scored a third and a fourth, I think could be seriously damaging, almost more damaging than being 2 down in the first place for Wycombe. But we will see. They obviously have very tough fixtures to finish the season. And it was particularly disappointing given how impressed I was with their win at Bolton. Now, it turns out winning against Bolton isn't that difficult. They've lost 4 games in a row. But the manner of the away performance from Wycombe was really impressive. They did look really good. They did manage to plot their way through that game. And so I'm just disappointed at how big a difference there was in the way that they approached both of those fixtures. And I suppose I should say that at 2-0, I switched over to Blackpool Wrexham because I thought, well, if Charlton are going to win, the most important result is what Wrexham do at Blackpool, because if they draw or lose entirely, Charlton are, basically have it all in their own hands. I switched over about half an hour gone, I think, or 40 minutes gone, and Wrexham had been the better side. They'd had the better chances, 2 big ones already through McLean and Rodriguez. Then I saw a little burst from Blackpool where they imposed a little bit of pressure. And then on the hour mark, an incredible crossfield pass from George Thompson that found James McLean. He cut in and put in what must be his 4,000th cross of the season. And it curled all the way through everyone and into the corner. It was 2-0 3 minutes later. Really nicely worked move. Really nice finish from maybe, I think, the most underrated Wrexham player, Ollie Rathbone, who put them 2-0 up. And they deserved it. And they won that game, and they stood up to the pressure, and it's still very much in their hands. They have to avoid defeat against Charlton. And then, of course, they've got what is not an easy game on paper against Lincoln City on final day, but still a game that they will be strong favourites to win. Charlton, look, that win and that away end at Wycombe, absolutely incredible. They'd had it pretty tough on Good Friday. I don't think they were at their best against a Northampton side that put in an impressive performance, but they got the win there as well. And it just feels like players like Matty Godden and Luke Berry, who are experienced types, who are, they're not the players that get talked about week in, week out, partly because we've been talking about Berry and Godden performing at League One level and up in the Championship for a number of years now. But maybe this is the time of the season where players like that, who know what's what, are going to come to the fore. It certainly feels like the case. Charlton benefiting from that experience and getting maximum points. And then Stockport, actually quite damaging not to have beaten Peterborough, because it felt like Stockport needed to win out, really. And we gave them every chance of doing that. Had they beaten Peterborough, they'd still be 4th and they'd only be 3 points behind Wrexham with 2 games to go. Instead, they actually had to rescue it with a late strike from Jack Diamond. Not at their best, actually, this Easter weekend. Stockport a little bit underwhelmed with their performance level, coming from behind to beat Huddersfield, but giving up 3 or 4 really big chances to Huddersfield in the first half. Quite uncharacteristic, I thought. So Stockport will be in the playoffs, absolutely no doubt about that. But will it be Wrexham? Will it be Charlton? Will it be Wycombe?
There's a very small chance they could finish second still. If Charlton beat Wrexham and then they win on final day, win both their games and all the teams above them lose. But it's unlikely.
Okay, yeah, unlikely. Wycombe would need to get no points. Is that right?
Correct.
Or
yeah.
I suppose actually Wycombe. Yeah, it's very unlikely.
It's unlikely, but it's not for sure. That's what I'm saying.
Old Mr. Permutations over there.
Correct.
So I think top 2 is very exciting. That game between Wrexham and Charlton, incredibly exciting. And almost whatever happens, final day should be very exciting. The playoff battle has become less exciting, George, because Bolton and Huddersfield are so bad. What? Bolton have lost 4 in a row. Huddersfield have lost 4 in a row. Stephen Schumacher, his strong grip on things didn't last very long, and now he's saying stuff like, I can see everyone asking me to change the whole squad this summer, but almost everyone's under contract, so I'm not really sure how that's going to look. Not great noises. Huddersfield sacked their sporting director, Mark Cartwright, who'd been there for a couple of years and is obviously on the sporting side overseen incredibly poor
Demise.
trajectory for the club. And that just leaves the door open for one of Leyton Orient and Reading, who are now level on points.
Indeed, yeah. Leyton Orient coming from behind against Cambridge. An impressive style, you have to say. Donnelly, the architect, scoring the winning goal, which was a brilliant strike. And Charlie Kalman with yet another goal. A well-taken header after some good work from Dan Adji down the right-hand side. One of my favourite moments of the weekend was Josh Stokes scoring a goal and for some reason thinking it had been disallowed and running over to the referee and arguing in his face, and the ref just saying, "It's a goal, it's a goal, it's a goal." And then Stokes running into the corner to celebrate was really nice. But obviously for Cambridge, there was a moment in that game at 1-0 up where they thought they were going to be getting another big win on their route for their great escape, but it wasn't to be. Reading with an unbelievable display away at Mansfield. Mansfield still not playing very well, but Reading ran riot, and that's the kind of performance and result really that you want going into a potential playoff campaign. Frustration for them obviously that Orient were able to come from behind to win that game, but Nibs looked really good. Lewis Wing with one unbelievable strike. On Bolton, before we can move on from this part, there was we should give Rico Hackett credit for his fourth goal, which was a kind of Joe Bryan-esque free kick where Baxter was off his line and he just
Fabio Aurelio, eat your heart out. This was better than Fabio Aurelio's.
But I was really, because I watched this, right, and I see all the kind of neutrals on Twitter being like, "Where's your keeper, lads?" And all the Bolton fans being like, "Baxter's rubbish." And in fairness, Baxter probably could have done better for 2 or 3 of the goals on the day. But I struggled to understand how it's Baxter's fault. Like, he's taking up a position which is what all goalkeepers will do in that position, to come and claim the ball. And I reckon if you tell him when he's standing there, he's going to shoot, you're probably like, let him, that's fine. And then it's so well executed that Baxter's absolutely miles away from getting near it, right? So even if he takes like 4 steps to his right, he's still not getting there anyway. And I was like, I'd love to know what the manager thinks of this. And I watched Schumacher's interview back after the game, and he's like, yeah, and then for the 4th, Nathan's obviously made a massive mistake, and that's the end of the game. And I just, am I going mad? Like, I don't understand. What do you want him to do?
Well,
like,
I mean, I think you're going a bit mad. It's like,
am I?
Yeah, I think so. I think starting position over aggressive, possibly, but maybe more to the point, pretty slow to react to the shot being taken. It wasn't like Hulk had hit that from 45 yards, shot power 99, Adriano Privo.
I'd still say the shot
it's
power
precise. The curl is incredible, and take nothing away from how it is marvelously executed, as you say. But I think slightly quicker reactions, slightly quicker to cover ground and get across, he probably gets closer to it. I wouldn't say it's a massive error, but I think you're being a bit contrary, going like, what the hell? Why is anyone questioning Baxter? He just let a free kick from 45 yards out go in his near post.
That's not. I can understand why people are criticising him, obviously, because the optics aren't good. I just don't think it's his fault, and I think it's one of those where he's taken on like a 1 in 100 chance, and he's pulled it off on like the execution is like inch perfect in terms of the curl,
absolutely,
power on the strike, and the way it hits the inside of the post, then hits the other side and hits the other post. Like, it couldn't be more precise. Like, I think it would have been like one of the most incredible saves if he'd got anywhere near it. But anyway, there we go. It didn't matter in the end. They lost the game.
Didn't matter in the end. I just want to go back to Orient and Reading, because I feel like almost the more dramatic of the games was on Good Friday, where Leyton Orient came back from 3-1 down to beat Barnsley 4-3, scoring the 2nd, 3rd and 4th goals within 6 minutes of each other to come back and win that. So both their games over the Easter weekend were come from behind wins. Kelman is just scoring in every game at the moment, has 10 league goals in his last 650 minutes, which is absolutely incredible. It's about 7 games worth of football he scored 10 goals in. And on the same day, Reading had lost at home to Lincoln, which was obviously fairly damaging. And Orient's goal difference is so much better than Reading's that, if they match each other's results from this point, Orient are likely to, will make the top 6. So Reading not even to get a point from a disappointing display at home to Lincoln was really poor. But hey, shout out Lincoln. We've just talked about them beating Bolton. They beat Reading as well. Impressive weekend for them. And as discussed, they've still got to host Wrexham on final day. So Lincoln, while not directly involved themselves, will have an impact on the automatic promotion battle and possibly have had quite a big impact here on the playoff battle. Down at the bottom, George, it's a bit of a weird one where it's kind of been all eyes on Burton and Bristol Rovers, and indeed the dotted line between them. Burton and Bristol Rovers both got 1 point over Easter weekend. They both drew on Good Friday. Bristol Rovers at Wrexham. Was that the result that signified that they've refocused, that they're ready to turn things around and survive? We're losing at home to Stevenage. A complete disaster, I would suggest.
Yeah, for so much of this season, Bristol Rovers have relied on their home form to get them out of trouble, and it's deserted them at the worst possible moment. I remember looking a couple of weeks ago at the kind of XG ratio numbers at home in League One, and I was quite surprised that Bristol Rovers were bottom in the home XG ratio table, and I kind of put it down to them probably leading a lot in games whilst not being a very good side, but maybe the issues ran deeper than that because, all of a sudden they've lost 4 consecutive home games. And when you consider that one of those against Birmingham, where they played very well, but the 3 others, Mansfield, in terrible form, little to play for, Exeter, not in great form, little to play for, Stevenage, nothing to play for. Like, to come away from Mansfield at home, Exeter at home, and Stevenage at home with 0 points, given the predicament that Bristol Rovers have found themselves in for quite a long time, is absolutely unforgivable and will be the reason why they're probably going to get relegated now. This was a performance devoid of quality or purpose. They're having for a long time thought they were kind of just going to be okay, and now it looks like they're not far from basically down at this stage. It'd be some turnaround to claw their way out of it.
Yeah, and Burton had got a point at Exeter on Good Friday, a game where almost nothing happened, and then lost at home to Birmingham City. Made a decent fist of it, and certainly had the stronger motivation. I think that was pretty clear, but couldn't resist Samsted's strike from the edge, and then a really nice Birmingham move for Stansfield's second goal. So still very much in their hands. They are level on points with Bristol Rovers. They have a much better goal difference, and they have a game in hand as well. But it's not just a case of one of Burton and Bristol Rovers, because hello Crawley Town, George. They drew with Birmingham on Good Friday, and then they beat Exeter by 3-1. They are on 40 points, 3 points from safety. They play Northampton at home, who are now safe, and away at Shrewsbury, whose relegation was confirmed. Crawley are still in this.
Yeah, I mean, this is one where it looks to my eye like they really are, and then again, you look at the Opta analyst, your favourite brand, and
great brand.
97.1% chance of relegation for Crawley, which does seem incredibly high. An impressive result and win for them at home to Exeter. They went 3-0 up very early, conceded once, but saw it out relatively comfortably. Under Scott Lindsay, we know they're a team that offer a big attacking threat relatively consistently. The fact that Burton still have a home game against Cambridge next up is probably the reason why it's likely that they're going to be fine. Like, if they win that game, then they are fine. And even if they don't, they're relying on, Crawley or because given their better goal difference than Crawley, Crawley kind of not only drawing level with them, but going past them too. So, I mean, Crawley would absolutely believe, and rightly so. It feels like really good news for Burton was probably Cambridge squandering that 1-0 lead, because had Cambridge hung on to that, then that would have been an almighty clash. But the way the Burton are playing as well, I mean, that's the other thing to mention. It's all well and good talking permutations, but as impressive as Crawley have been in flashes under Lindsay, Burton are by far and away the best team in this little mini league, and they've got the easiest fixtures, and those things combined should probably mean they're going to be the ones who are safe, and they've already got the most points. So best team, most points, easiest games. Job done.
Yes. When you put it like that. Clever. Go for a shrew. Shrewsbury, relegated to League Two. What are your reflections on Shrewsbury's relegation, George? Because they've been at this level for quite some time now, and they've basically been a mid-table bottom half team, apart from one glorious season, 15-16, when Paul Hurst led them to third place in League One.
The streets will never forget.
I will never, ever forget that team. Stephen Payne, John Nolan, Toto Nsiala. Where are they now? Not many of them have seen such heights since. And you could say the same for Shrews. You could say the same for Paul Hurst. Let's not get misty-eyed about the past. Let's talk about what's next for them. The squad's been pretty bad at this level for quite a few years now, George. And in a way, I'm surprised that it took this long for them to be relegated, because I feel like they've been a pretty poor team, punching above their weight for quite a few years now. It's what I would call a gravitational relegation, which we see quite regularly in League One with 4 relegation spots, but they just haven't been able to punch above their weight this season, overperform this season, and they head down to League Two, and off the field it feels like civil war is bubbling.
Yeah, it's funny because the narrative when Steve Cotterill was manager is certainly the narrative that he peddled was, look at us, a plucky Shrewsbury, and we're overachieving and everything else. But you look at the squad of players that he had at his disposal and the players that he was able to bring in, Tom Bayliss, Jordan Shipley, it's chalk and cheese with what we're seeing now in terms of this Shrewsbury Town squad. And I think anyone pointing to the amazing job that Cotterill was doing, and as if him leaving has caused a demise, I think is missing quite a glaring shift in the way that the club has been run and the investment available to those who are coming in since he moved on. And this was always basically going to come to pass. Clearly the club and the fan base, Gareth Ainsworth, thought that investment was coming in the form of a new owner and an American businessman, and that fell through. It feels like a club that are in desperate need for investment in some guise. There's been talk of the TNS owner, who's a Shrewsbury fan, buying or investing in the club. But it feels rotten at the moment, frankly, both in terms of on the pitch and off the pitch. And in Michael Appleton, you've got a manager who's come out and said if he's there next year, he's going to make massive changes and sweeping changes. And that's all well and good. I just, unless a new ownership group comes in, do you see them as being a kind of the powerhouse in League Two that's able to make the changes that he wants to make? To me, they seem like a prime candidate for a team that are going to be fighting off relegation to the National League straight away, which is a well-trodden path. We see a lot of teams get relegated out of League Two and out of League One and immediately become one of the worst teams in League Two. Carlisle, the latest. And right now, I see no reason at all why that won't be the same with Shrews.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom half of League Two is littered with teams that have come down from League One in the last couple of years, from Fleetwood and Cheltenham in 15th and 16th, Carlisle in 23rd, as you mentioned, MK Dons in 18th, Accrington 21st, obviously Morecambe who've been relegated this weekend as well. Yes, I haven't got any real positives to add when it comes to Shrews, unfortunately. Hopefully we will in 3 months' time. Still plenty of time before the start of the season to sort things out. In the mid-table chunk, Lincoln and Wigan won both of their games. Congratulations to them. Ryan Lowe making a steady impact. Unbeaten in 5, 3 draws to start, and now 2 defeats. Only conceding 1 goal in that time as well. James Carragher, son of, getting some love from Richard, who's a Wigan fan, on NTT20 squad for some really good displays recently. Seems to have basically nailed down a starting spot, which is really exciting. And James Collins of Lincoln is one to mention. He rocked up in January. He's bashed out 10 goals in 18 games, exactly what Lincoln needed.
I love bashed out.
He's the one.
Use.
Somewhat. What's the word when someone? What's Rico Hackett done to James Collins? He's outshone him. He's outshone him with that goal that we discussed earlier. Barnsley and Rotherham both got 1 point over the weekend. Barnsley have appointed Conor Harahan as their manager. Rotherham have appointed Matt Hamshaw as their manager. So both teams going with the interim in terms of the mid to long term. Clearly, we are very excited about Conor Harahan's managerial career. He's been a real favourite and indeed a friend of the pod through a fantastic playing career in the EFL. His playing career for me is an incredible reflection of what you can achieve in the English football pyramid with a mixture of grit, determination, ability, luck, good timing from League Two all the way to the Premier League. Conor and captain pretty much every team he ever played for, and now a manager, in the same season that he was still registered as a player. So really quick turnaround there. Lots of schools of thought here. Understandably, people wondering whether they needed to give it to him permanently when he'd only had a couple of games as interim manager. I don't know what's been going on behind the scenes for Harahan to convince those running the club that he is the man to take them forward, but I'm pretty excited about it. And I always think if there's ever anyone who defaults to the line, oh, this is just a cheap option, check out John Mousinho at Portsmouth. I think that would be worth doing. It is possible for someone to finish playing, become a manager straight away, and be absolutely excellent, even if they might not command as big a wage as someone with more experience. And same for Matt Hamshaw, who's obviously a Rotherham United fan, born and bred, very popular appointment with the fans. His interim spell started with a couple of wins since his appointment. They haven't won yet, but this is the sort of thing where I don't really see the point in making flash judgments right now. We'll take the lie of the land ahead of the season and see where these two clubs are, both clearly having underperformed this season, taking a different approach. Next season, Northampton secured their safety with a win against Shrews 4-1. They played well against Charlton as well. I think Kevin Nolan deserves a lot of credit for taking over from John Brady, who'd had such a big impact over such a long period of time, and doing what's necessary to steer them to safety. Dara Costello playing well, a player that I really, really have loved watching this season at Accrington and now at Northampton. And Mansfield, you mentioned, horror form for them, continues 2 wins in 21 games, 5 points above the relegation zone with a game in hand at home to Peterborough. So should find the points needed, but what a terrible end to the season for Stags.